Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Mind Show. As usual, I'd like to give a little shout out to my main sponsor, which is the Extreme Memory Challenge. I highly recommend you take the test. It's real quick, fun, and easy. Go to extremememorychallenge.com and spend about 5-10 minutes seeing how good your memory is. And at the same time, you're helping science, helping Dart Neuroscience, a research company, help them develop and find a drug to help battle cognitive disabilities such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, Lewy body disease, all these things that kind of debilitate the mind as one ages or causes dementia. So please help out with that. That's a huge, it's very meaningful to me, and it allows these interviews to happen on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. Let's dive into it. So today's guest is Simon Reinhard, who is, where do I begin? In my eyes, he is the father of speed cards or memorizing cards. He was the first to really break into the low 20-second barrier. And, he hasn't won the world championship, which seems like a mistake, but he's been, I think, the leading driving force in the memory world for the last, I'd say, almost 10 years, maybe just a bit less. But he's the one that turned memory techniques around. I think he's inspired a lot of people to kind of push the boundaries in the modern day here of memory sports. And so we're going to talk with him today, ask him how he does it, a little bit of his history, and just get to know him a bit. He's an awesome guy, good friend of mine. He's won the Extreme Memory Tournament, my little baby, 2 times. And he's just an awesome guy. Simon Zor. Let's go right into it. Welcome to another episode of The Mind Show with me, Nelson Dellis. And today we have the amazing, legendary Simon Reinhard from Germany, 2-time Extreme Memory champion and multiple record holder, German champion many times. Is it North and South, or have you won the North and not the South? I don't know exactly. What's the
we have the North and South, like for people who start competing. And if you live in the South, you're only allowed to take part in the South, and there are also opens and stuff like this. But I also won the total German championship, I think 3 times now.
Nice. Okay. So what's going on? How you been? What have you been up to since the XMT? You obviously won this year's XMT, and what are you doing right now?
Right now I'm thinking about starting my preparation for many of the October tournaments and for the Memoriat in November, which is very exciting. And yes, a bit of other stuff, like regarding the International Association of Memory, which is taking much of my time and which has many different things we need to clarify. So I think apart from that, and also taking care of my speech and teaching clients and so on, I think I have enough to do at the moment.
Nice. So tell me a bit about the IAM, the International Association of Memory. What's going on? Why does it exist? What are we trying to do with that?
Basically, also much of what I will be saying now can also be found in the World Memory Championships group on Facebook, which everybody who is watching this year is very much invited to be a member.
Yeah.
To sum it up, the IAM is basically a new start for many people who love the sport and who want something different, which is not how things were handled in the past. So let's just say that many people were unhappy about how things were handled regarding arbiter issues,
Sure.
rules, and many other things. And it simply became too much to bear after the years. So, you're ready to tolerate things for a certain amount of time. And many people did because they thought they didn't have an alternative. But then there came a point last year when things happened which went against the rights of many people who are also dear to me and to others. And we simply decided that's enough, and we want to have something for our own, something more tragic and just. And we are right now in the process of building it, and it's very fun, but also
Stressful.
taking quite yeah.
Yeah, I think also two parts to that as well is one, I think it's time to take this sport to where it should be. We're in a modern age now, and I think for the past 25 years, it's been fine, but there hasn't been a kind of modernization to what it needs to be. It's very archaic in how it's done, and also I think there's been a lack of focus on the true stars of the memory world, and that's the athletes. And I think that's where the highlights and focus should be, right? Is not to toot our own horns, but I mean, there's, as you said, I mean, the way things have been done, I think it seems like the athletes are second to the competition and the organization that runs it, which isn't right,
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that I always found quite irritating, like in the past when we went to World Championships. It was always many posters of people who were kind of doing administration stuff or not even that, and who were holding speeches there and so on. But there were no posters like of the last World Memory Champion or of the first 3 or 5 people in the world. I mean, at the biggest tennis tournaments or so, or at every other sport, it is not unusual that you have posters of the top athletes on the hall, and everyone can see Djokovic and Federer and so on, and simply relate to them. And this didn't feel like this at all. I mean, this is not the main thing why we made the IAM, but it's one of the many qualms that people have, that the athletes always were something like the athletes, They were never spoken of in a direct way. It was never like you promote the last world champion or you promote other people. And this always seemed a bit irritating and also a bit suspicious to me. So I didn't quite like that many other people agreed. So
got it. Yeah, I agree. But exciting. It's all exciting. As you said, it's not the easiest thing, but I think what we all have in common as athletes coming together is that we love the sport and we want to keep it going, of course. So let's talk about you for a second. So you are one of the top memory athletes and have been for a while. So how did you get into this world? When did you get into this? I love talking about the historic part of the memory world because you're one of the ones who's been around for a while, and a lot of us are new. We don't know what happened back in the mid 2000s. When I talked to Ben, he's one of the guys who started at the very beginning. He has some funny stories. So what was your story getting into memory sports?
For me, it all started in 2005 when I was kind of searching on the internet for ways to memorize better, because I was in my 4th year at university, and I simply was not so content with how I learned stuff and how much I forgot. And I kind of stumbled. And I was not so happy about the way I learned stuff and so on. And I simply thought, okay, there must be something better. And so I was searching the web for something like memory techniques and so on. And I stumbled upon the German homepage, memoryxl.de, which is like the not-for-profit German memory club where so many of us started. And to be very honest, I mean, I saw what people were writing there about the loci method and memorizing stuff by stories and pictures. And honestly, I found it totally weird. Yeah. It was somehow strange for me because, okay, what is this stuff? And then I was browsing around a bit, and then I found something that I could somehow relate to. It was a free training software. Okay. Which the club is, I think, still offering, a very old Flash thing. I think it's super old, but it was structured. In the competitions, we are memorizing names and numbers and stuff like this, and this was just the same, but it had from level 1 to level 10. Okay. So when you were a super beginner, you would like start at level 1, and you would like memorize 5 names, 5 faces with first and last name. And if you had all of those correct, you would advance to level 2, and the thing would automatically save it. So you would also save all of your progress, which is cool.
Yeah.
And this kind of piqued my interest because I wanted to get better and better, and I always thought I had quite a good memory, but I thought, okay, now let's test the thing. But I didn't want to use any kind of locations or stuff like this because I found this somehow completely surreal. Yeah, and then I came to a point where I had to use them.
Yeah.
Like a certain level, and I didn't get any better. And I used them, and it was kind of an eye-opening moment because it simply worked.
Yeah. And then, so that was 2005?
Yeah.
And then what was your first memory championship that you competed in?
About 2 months later or so.
Oh, okay.
It was super, super close because it was like the South German Championship.
Yeah.
And it was relatively near from where I was living, like only a 2-hour train ride or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, the software also gave you kind of a hint if you had it always made an average of the 7 disciplines that you were practicing there. And like if you were in every discipline you were in level 2, you had an average of 2.0. Yeah. And when you had reached 5.0, it kind of gave you a message, now you are ready to go to memory tournaments. And hey, software, thank you very much. And I could give the thing a visit. And it was super nice. I mean, I met some people there that I still know today. I mean, Florian Dellis was there. And I met him for the first time, and I still recall some of the things we were talking about. And the thus world champion Clemens Meyer was there, who's not active anymore.
Wow. And
also many other people who stopped competing or so, but it was a very exciting moment. And and from that time on I thought, okay, it's a very nice community, and it's not like it chess or so. Sorry to all the chess players, but I was at some chess blitz live tournaments once or twice, and I didn't really like it because there are some real cycles there. Sorry really, but it was also peaceful and nice, and nobody was envious, or there was no aggression, and I really liked it. Yeah. And then, I don't know, there was another forum, the Brainboard forum, where I also posted a bit and saw other people for the first time, but many of those whom I know still today, like Boris Conrad or Johannes Mallow, I met first as people still in front of me in the rankings of the Memory XL training software. I want to get
aiming for that.
Hannes. Who is that Hannes guy?
That's cool. And so then I know you have I believe you still have some records that are current, but you had some obviously along the way. One of the big ones was that you beat Ben's record of speed cards, right? I think at the time it was just under 25 seconds. Is that right?
I think it was, it was 24.97.
Right. And then did you hit 24 first something? Or was it 22?
No, I did a 26. So I was slower, I think in the same year. And then in 2010, I did a 21.90.
Yeah. Was I there? Cool. Was I I might have been there. Or no, I did it when you did 21.19.
Yeah. That was at the German Championship.
I
think 1 year later. Yeah, and but that was at the South German Championship, and it was somehow cool. I don't know. I had practiced this for quite some time, and I knew I could do times close to 20 seconds, and 21 seconds also wasn't something that was completely new. And all of that came together, and I mean there was a video made from that, and I think it is really the most views of all of my videos, which is still on YouTube. Florian did it back then, and I can still recall that I had all of the images, because to explain a bit, I make from 2 cards, I make 1 image. So I had all of the images apart from 2 cards left, and both of the card combinations somehow made sense. One was kind of rabbit, and the other one was another kind of animal. A total mega coincidence.
Yeah.
Kind of, here's this or this.
So 50-50 chance, you have to guess.
yeah, I really had to feel myself into it because sometimes you can really get some kind of additional hints if you really try to remember
Sure.
the exact instant when you like put the image there. So was it like this, or how does it feel? And I think I was like struggling till the last 20 seconds or so, and then I said, no, that must be it. Put the two cards together, and I still had some stacks there. I had my 52 cards like in 3 or 4 stacks,
Yeah.
and I simply put the two cards here and stack, and I think I turned them around like in the last 5 seconds or
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I'll
And
put the link to the video. It's a fun video to watch.
yeah, so
Um,
this
so
was really cool.
so those last two cards, did you felt like you had it, or was it somewhat part of a guess?
I was quite confident, I have to say,
Okay, because
but it
I
was still good to see. But it's
yeah,
right, yeah.
because I've had times where I have a couple cards left and I'm not quite sure, but I have a feeling, like a gut feeling that it was this, but you spend like 2-3 minutes thinking about it, trying to put yourself there, and you can almost convince yourself out of it, that the other one was 100% it, and then you flip it the other way around. I've switched, so, like between the order 3 or 4 times, and then ultimately, most of the time, my gut feeling at first is usually the right one, but sometimes you just play with your head.
I mean, I can also I can only tell people if you um, are in doubt about the sequence of something, be it like in numbers or cards or anything, and you had a good feeling when you wrote it down like the first time, and
Yeah.
then comes the end of the recall phase, and you have like 20 seconds left or so, and then you get the sudden inspiration that it was completely different.
Yeah.
Do not trust your inspiration. It is really my experience that 8 or 9 out of 10 times it is wrong to change in the last second.
Yeah, that's true.
Almost always, because your memory really is kind of trying to play tricks on you.
Yeah, I heard this phrase the other day. This quote that goes, "Change your mind, lose your mind." So when you change your mind, you start to like lose your mind a bit because you're suddenly like, "Well, should I have done that? What's the right thing?" So you always got to
Yeah.
kind of go with your gut instinct, especially when it comes to memory, because usually it's right. It's usually right. It's better than you honestly think it is. So after that, what was it like being? Because suddenly then you're named the speed cards guru. What was that like? At that time to be the fastest card memorizer in the world. It's a pretty
Yeah,
cool
it's a,
title.
it's a nice time to think back to because it somehow lies a bit in the past now after recent developments. But I don't know. It's simply always felt very natural for me to like memorize cards because I very often I not only saw the images like on the locations, but also glimpses of the cards themselves, so which also
Yeah.
helped me to get them in the right sequence. And yeah, I think I was very happy because it was one of the disciplines that I liked best and which I also tried and trained the most.
Mhm.
And yeah, I tried to challenge myself again. I mean, I was happy that people liked the video and that it was such a nice video. And I simply tried to improve more and more. So
Yeah. And so that's not all you're good at, obviously. Some of your other best ones are you're amazing at names, and you're amazing at words. So one of the records that you have, I'm super jealous of, and would love to be in a position to aim for it. But you have memorized 300 words in 15 minutes. So that's one of the events is you get 15 minutes to memorize as many words as possible, and 300. That's pretty darn good. What's the second best after that? Do you know that's ever been done? Not by you. Maybe 280?
um,
No, maybe not
I
even.
I had to 289 at last year's World Championship. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
anyone else has done more than 289. I'm not sure if Boris had at a certain time a 296 or so or a
Oh
286,
wow.
but I think the 289 might even be the second best.
Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah. I think I tried. I don't know what I got to last year. Maybe 276, and then I got like a one wrong or something. or
Yeah,
two wrong. I don't know. One wrong and one completely wrong and like one small error. But anyways, tell me about the time you got 300. Right? You've told me the story before, but just for the listeners, I like hearing it.
Let me just quickly have my Marco
Sure.
Rubio moment.
Yeah, it's hot there in where you're in Munich, right?
Yeah, so I need some water. After, after that, I can continue my answer to the State of the Union speech.
Sure.
So, no, it was this, when I did this, I think it was in 2011, and it was the German Championship. And I didn't have such a good tournament. I don't know. I had slept really badly before that, like only 2 hours. And I don't know. Usually I sleep very well, so it was simply kind of a freak bad sleep night or so. And I did have very bad results at the things before, so I really wanted to gun for some good stuff on the second day. And in the same tournament, I also made the 240 spoken numbers, which was a world record back then.
Wow.
And I really tried to go for not for something super risky afterwards, but really not to hold myself back. And yeah, in the end, I don't know how I exactly did it. So with the repetitions, but I looked at 300, I think total 4 times, and then at 8 more. And I think I wrote down 308.
Okay.
And yeah, it seems I had some spelling errors, but I rather think that some of the words among the last 8 were spelled wrong on the memo sheet. It was a bit strange, like some typical German words that people tend to spell wrong. And I think I also spelled it intentionally wrong, but somehow I didn't check anymore. But they gave me 300, and it was really cool to kind of break this 299 barrier.
That's a cool barrier.
Yeah.
With a 3 in front of your number is good after you've been saying only 200s and something, you know. That's a tricky one because for me, yeah, I mean, obviously sometimes I've made mistakes where I just put the wrong word, but I think a lot of my mistakes are just spelling mistakes, and it's often the words that I, commonly misspell, and then I second guess myself. Is that an ER or an OR at the end? I don't know, but if I had to tell you the image, it would be correct. It's just the spelling sometimes, right, that gets those points off. Yeah. So let's talk a bit about the. I don't know if it's a touchy subject. I think you're one of the top guys, and you've killed it at the XMT. But what's it been like being right there in the running for winning the world championships many times, and it just you haven't been able to grasp it, whether it was Johannes winning by just a few points or just being so close and not getting it. What's that been like?
Yeah, well, actually, I think it's still very motivating. So
Yeah.
I think I really have the luck that my inner stance towards tournaments is like I try to give my best, and if it doesn't work out well, then I've at least fought valiantly. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, in my world championships until now, I think I was 2 times second and 3 times third. So my first time when I became second in 2012, it was really close. It was in London.
I remember that.
I mean, Johannes and me were really close until the speed cards. He was like 200 points in front. So, and I needed, I don't know, a 24 or so, or a 23, and then he would have needed something fast too. And he kind of made it with like 60 points or so. But he's such a nice friend that basically I had finished my cards in the second run. It was like 27 seconds. And if he hadn't made it, then I would have won. But it wasn't clear because my table was finished before his.
Yeah.
So I went over there and they were like counting the cards. And I simply thought, okay, if he now has this, he had like 41 seconds, then he has simply earned it because he had the better competition before. And I was super happy. And I think this is something that really helps me, that I am not like kind of eaten up by other people winning or stuff like this, but that I can simply say, if someone beats me and I can say that I have given my all in the competition, then they have simply earned it, and it
Yeah.
also does not diminish myself.
Yeah.
So I think the best chance that I had was, I guess, in 2014 until now, where I had a great year, where I had won the XMT, and I think I was like running undefeated at all the tournaments or so, I think.
Yeah.
Also because Johannes made kind of a break that year. I was like, I had my internal calculations about what Jonas, I thought, could do. And so, because until then it was always like a pattern that he had better results at the World Championships and was not so good at normal tournaments. And with not so good, of course, I don't mean bad. I simply mean that compared to his best performances, he always had them at the World Championships. And I thought he might be, with his scores that I expected, he would be at, I don't know, 7,700 or 7,800. And I was like aiming for roughly 7,9 or so.
Yeah.
Or that I at least would be even or had a slight lead before the speed cast, stuff like this, at least. And I think there I also made a small mistake that I took things a bit too safely. For instance, like the 60-minute cards, I did not really go for like 26 decks or so, but for 21 or so. And then he suddenly had like 26, which I have to surprised me a bit, because I think he hadn't been that good until then. He also had 106 days, which was a bit higher than I had expected. And then when the speed cuts came, I would have needed, what would I have needed? I think 21.33. That would have been the exact time, yeah. And it didn't work out. So this was something where I think to myself, I wasn't angry afterwards or so, but I simply learned from this that having a better preparation definitely pays off, because I was not at my fullest, because I didn't take it too easily, definitely not. But I simply was a bit too generous in my own calculation what my opponent could do, and he simply was about 3 to 4 points better in the end than I expected. So, but it was a fantastic competition by him. I think it is still 7,400 points today or something like this. So he was in his best form, and he simply deserved to win that year.
And how much did he win by? What was the difference between you and him?
I mean, because he had a speed cut score and I did not. It was like 1,000 points or so.
Okay, but that's because you tried your fastest to get the cards, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not.
So I think that's why I tried like 18.72, but I couldn't put them together. So and I mean, if I would have made a safe card score, so like 30 seconds or so, or 20, 28, I think I would have been about 300 to 400 points behind or so.
Yeah, nice. And so, since you've competed since 2005, what has been in all competitions, in memory sports, what has been your most memorable moment? Like your happiest, coolest moment? I don't know. If you could pinpoint it.
Yeah, I think, I think I can pinpoint like my 3 most favorite moments.
Okay.
So I would say it was like breaking the speed cuts record again in 2011, and by that winning the German championship in front of Johannes Malo.
Nice.
And my 2 XMT wins.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because I think the XMT, I mean, it also has become so much stronger in the last years, and 2014 really was a wonderful win, but I think my really most favorite moment of those 3 is my XMT win this year.
Yeah,
because
I mean,
the strong field and
it's so strong.
Everything.
The competitors was crazy. The levels were higher.
Yeah.
Definitely. And obviously I love the XMT. I created it. But the cool thing about winning that is like you lasted till the end. You know, it's like a last man standing type of thing. So if you look at all the stuff you had to win to get there, it's crazy, right? Like that's a hard thing to do. Whereas the World Championships, you know, you have 10 disciplines and you're there at your own desk in your own head. You can treat that however you want. But here, you're facing someone you don't know how many matches you're going to play, so you don't know the play that you're going to know. You don't know, so I think it's a lot more of a mind fuck than the World Championship. So it really shows that you have a strong mind. So I'm very impressed with that, and to win it twice, yeah. I mean, the first year, obviously, we didn't know what it was like, but it's still impressive. But a two-time winner, and that I think is like pretty good. I remember thinking, I told this to Brad, who helps me run the XMT, when you were going up against what's his name, Puget. I was thinking, the XMT, is it good to have a competition that we've created where it's a different winner every competition? Like, does that show that it's a good competition, like the way it's designed? Or is it good to have multiple winners sometimes? Or is that bad? Is it bad if you have the same winners every time? Ultimately, I don't have the answer to that. I think it's fine. Ultimately, it's the competitors that they win. They're the best. But yeah, I'm happy you won, and you clearly deserved to win. It wasn't like we gave it away. You mopped the floor with Puja at the end there, so it was good.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it definitely was preferable that there was not a new winner. So I mean, this was definitely clear that I was preferring it to have perhaps a 2 times winner this year. But I think I have to definitely object against that I mopped the floor with him. If anyone saw the final, I mean, the score was 5-0, but it still felt very close to me.
Mm.
I mean, it was bad luck for him that he had an error at the 5th digit at the first surprise event.
Yeah.
Also, the second surprise event was quite close. I think it was only 3-2 for me at the second surprise event, at the mini surprise event matches. And the other things, perhaps 1 or 2 points were rather clear, but it was simply a close match, and I was happy after every point. And he had a great final. I think he definitely, for himself, perhaps was not happy about how it went.
Yeah.
But you could definitely feel that he's a very strong competitor. And he will be there next year too. I think everyone is expecting him to be at least as strong as this year.
Yeah. No, he was a very strong competitor, and I was like, I think he's going to win. Not to put anything against Simon, but I actually thought he was going to win. But you put on a fantastic performance to win, so congratulations. So before we kind of close this off, I'd love to know a little bit about your systems, specific, because a lot of people would love to know that, especially for cards and numbers. So for cards, you mentioned you have a 2-card system, and how does it work exactly? Is it like a bend system or it's something else? What is it?
I think it's different from the bend system. And what I'm doing is I see each card as a combination of a consonant and a vowel. So the value of the card always becomes a consonant, like I do in my normal number systems. So for people who are not so much memory sports, it's like in your number systems, for instance, you would use letters for numbers, and you use letter N for the number 2 and the letter M for the number 3 because they look similar, and so on and so on. Yeah. And that's what I'm also doing with the value of the card. And I'm taking a vowel for the suit of the card. Okay. So this completely how I felt it would make most sense. Like heart is an A because somehow it's such an open and bright sound or so, because A is like. And the others, like the 2 darker ones, are like O and I and so on. So it is simply each card, you can say, is a definite syllable. For instance, the 7 of hearts is like the 7 is an L and the heart is an A, so it will always be the syllable la for me.
Okay.
And then you can And then you combine this with another syllable. Let's take an English example. If my second card would be like a 2 of diamonds, this would be N and E. So I would let's say instantly, when I see the cards, I would read the letters L, A, N, and E.
Yep.
If I would be an English speaker, it would be like lane. And I would memorize lane.
Okay.
So I would say every 2 cards are at least a 2-syllable word, or more if it are just the first 2 syllables. And this works very, very good for me because I can basically read the cards quickly.
Yeah. You're just reading a book, coming up with a few pictures really quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so L-A-N-E, what would that be in German? What do you have for that one, actually?
It's a good question. I think it would perhaps even be lane, because I mixed my own systems a bit. So I have many German words, of course, but for the not so common combinations, for instance, I think that there isn't a well-fitting German word for this. I also took foreign words. So I think it would perhaps even be lane. And for instance, but if it would have been, let's say, the Queen of Diamonds as the second cards, you would have L-A-P-E, which fits nicely to the German word Lappen for something, some kind of towel or so or stuff which you mop your kitchen.
Okay. So that was my next question is, so lane is a word. What if you got something that wasn't necessarily a word? Like what if it was L-A-L-E, right? What is that? So I guess some of them you kind of stretch out into something that it would sound like if it was a longer word, or if it sounds like something else, right?
Yeah, so I mean, it is not so hard actually to find words for those. I mean, it's 2,600 combinations, but there are also surprisingly many words that fit well into this 2-syllable system. So I think I have found something for every combination. Sometimes you have to search a bit longer, but ultimately you find something and you ask yourself, why didn't I think of this earlier? Yeah, and as I said, if I don't find anything, then I kind of have something in another language which I speak rather well, like English or so, or I also like to speak Italian. So I think about 5 to 10% or so of my system are like in English, and 1 or 2% also like in Italian words. So you really find something, you just have to look for it.
Got it.
And if you really don't find something, then you can still look for a word which sounds similar. And it doesn't have to be the exact word, as long as you know that it is like sounding similar. I have this very often in my 4-digit number system.
Okay. And then so you have 2 cards, you come up with a word, 2-syllable word. Then are you placing just that one word in each location, or are you combining a few words?
No, with cards, I always put one image in one location.
Yep.
I'm thinking about perhaps changing this for the card marathons, but for the speed cards, putting more than one image in one location somehow doesn't really work for me, because it needs to be really clear, and the image really needs to have a strong connection to the location. Okay. And this works that way.
Got it. So you're doing 26 different images in it for a deck. Got it. Okay. Very cool. And then what's in training? What is your fastest time?
With real cards, so my fastest time where I really put the cards together is like 18.97.
Nice.
But it is a long time ago. But recently, like this year, I was also training like on speed a bit to see what goes, and I put 17.4 together. It was just a bit bad because I wasn't quite sure whether I'd seen some of the cards before the memorization or not. I mean, if you shuffle it yourself, this is always a bit of a risk. So if I would be really, really strict, I wouldn't count this, but I have a rather clean conscience that it was okay. So, yeah. And I can definitely also do faster times.
That's pretty good. And do you think there's room for improvement? Like, do you think you can still get faster with what you have, or do you think you'd have to make a change to get faster? What do you think it would take to get consistent under 20 seconds, say?
Yeah, the interesting thing is that I have what I have not done over the last years, even if it sounds a bit strange, is really try to get to the ultimately fast card times in my training.
Mm-hmm.
Most probably because for a long time there wasn't really someone who was always threatening my fastest times. So I only this year started to really go for, let's say, times which are much out of my own card's comfort zone. And as you see results very quickly. So I just have to keep it up. So I think my own tactic would be to keep it short is to first try how consistent can I be when I really, let's say, make 20 or more decks a day with super fast times, and simply see if I can see some kind of improvement. And if I get to that level and it doesn't get faster, and let's say I notice or realize that I can't get to Alex level, even if I invest that much into getting out of my comfort zone, then I would have to think about making a new system.
Yeah.
But until then, I wouldn't say confident, but I believe in myself that there's still much room for improvement, and 19.4 is definitely possible.
Yeah.
But his own best times, of course, are also extremely strong. So I would simply like to have a good shot at attacking the momentary cards world record of 19.41 this year, and perhaps breaking it before he breaks his own again, and give him a good fight, like in the next time. This would be cool, and then let's see where we land.
Yeah. Nice. I hope you get it, man. It's fun to watch the sport progress either way, you know? I mean, that's how it works, right? If somebody breaks a record and then you want it back, so you try something new or you push yourself in different ways and it goes back and forth, and ultimately you're advancing the sport, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was just one more thing. It was also really, really cool to having been a witness to this record, because I mean, I was like there in the same tournament when Alex broke it this year. The record, which had been standing like for 6 years. So if you count the first time it was broken in 2010, and I simply was happy that I could be a part of this, and to see him breaking it, and and also seeing him like breaking it, which such a time that he could also have such a great total score, was really cool, because I'm simply happy about people having great performances. This really is something that gives me a kick to see people perform well and to give their all, and this also motivates me.
Yeah, nice. And then let's jump to numbers for a little bit. What's the process there? I think you told me once you do 4-digit chunks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What I do with numbers is I think I'm the only one at the moment who is doing a 4-digit number system. So I mean a real 4-digit number system, and I think it is only possible because I had a certain 3-digit system before. So very similar to what I did at the cards, I had with the numbers, with my 3-digit system, I had consonant, vowel, consonant.
Okay.
So this is, I think, very similar or even identical to what Ben did first. So I didn't invent this, but I kind of adapted it to the German language. So I use completely other sounds for it, but it works very well. So I have the 5 German main vowels basically mapped on the 10 numbers of my second digit, like with long and short, which works very well, because long and short vowels, for me at least, are very clearly differentiated in the German language. Yeah, I mean, it's very, very big difference if you say the word lahm, which means like lame, or the word lampe, which means like lamp, which is long and short. And so I got this, and my 4-digit system is simply an extension of this. Yeah.
Got it. And then do you do similar to cards? You do one 4-digit chunk per location, or do you group a few? Okay.
With the numbers, I even more feel that I can only handle one word in one location.
Interesting.
Because it's like 10,000 images.
Yeah.
And if it would put more than one word in one location, it wouldn't be that clear anymore.
Okay. Yeah. So you need a lot of, because you do a lot of numbers, close to 400, if not over 400. So you need a lot of long journeys, right? Long memory palaces. Okay.
Yeah.
How many do you have for numbers, for example?
I don't have like dedicated journeys. I
No?
use them for numbers, words, and for everything.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so they usually work well. So I have, I think, about 3,000 in total that I use in competitions.
Wow.
And yeah, I think I mix them all the time.
Okay. That's interesting. A lot of people usually have specific ones that they use for specific things.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good tool to have, probably especially for something like XMT as well.
Yeah, it is, and it also makes it. I mean, I did not have enough locations in the past, so sometimes even at my first World Championships or my first two, I had to reuse like locations on the second day or so, or on the third day, and you get a good feel which disciplines work together in that way.
Yeah.
So you cannot combine binary and numbers because it's the same images, but like using numbers and words is no problem at all because you have very often different things there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great. Thank you so much for taking the time to answer some of those questions. I'm sure a lot of people will want to hear this and learn about how you do things and things you have to say. So thank you so much for being on this show. And I guess I'll see you in Vegas in about 2 months from now. Yeah?
Absolutely.
That'll be good. I'm a Moriad, which is another memory competition that happens every 2 years, 4 years?
4 years.
4 years,
4 years.
yeah.
Like the Memory Olympiad.
There you go.
Basically.
Yeah, like a memory Olympiad.
Yeah.
All right, Simon. Take care. I will see you soon, and good luck with the heat over there in Germany.
Thank you, and thank you very much for having me, and I hope I didn't sweat too much.
No, you're good. You can't tell.
I have to really apologize if something showed, but I hope it was okay.
You're good. All right, man. Take it easy. See ya.
Thank you. Thank you for the interview.
Yeah.
Bye, Nelson.
Bye.